Hello, welcome to Tea Time with Amie and Bev.
Good day to you.
Good day. We're having a moment before we hit the record.
That's
Oh,
right.
good.
It's all good.
So,
Like a fast lane. So
so you didn't sleep.
I did not. I think
What do
I
you think
slept
that
for
is?
maybe an hour. Well, it was hot in the room. It was 87 in the living room, and for whatever reason, the air conditioner wasn't turned on in the bedroom, so I don't do very well. I don't know if it has something to do with age, because I used to be the girl that was like in the sun all day long, in the bikini, didn't care, worked in the yard. I mean, I was out there all the time. Now, it makes me quite hostile.
Getting too hot, huh?
Yeah. And then it's like, but then I couldn't sleep. So then I'm out there because the dogs would bark at every single sound. And then the storm started because it'd been lightning for hours. I mean, it started probably around, I want to say probably around one. It was going on the whole time before that, I think, too, but it was just getting closer and closer. So it was an awesome storm that I got to celebrate in last night by myself.
Maybe that's why you didn't sleep, because you're supposed to do that.
Maybe.
Take in all that lightning and
And then
thunder.
I watched the movie this morning, The Bucket List, right? So the old movie. And it's
Yep.
just like such a great reminder to live your life. And it's like, it doesn't matter how we get there or what the reminder is, but it's like, man, we get caught up in this shit sometimes. Like mine was I was hot and I got caught up in it. And I just got more and more pissed off about the whole situation.
Yeah, I get you. Um, I was asking about why you didn't sleep because it was Saturday. So first of all, the new moon was on Friday. And what I'm recognizing, I may have mentioned this before. I know that during the full moon, I know when a full moon's coming without looking at a calendar. 3 days before, I can tell you it's going to be a full moon. And because my energy is heightened and I don't sleep much during or sleep well during that time. It's just should just probably just stay up until I am exhausted and fall asleep, get as much sleep as I need, get up, and then if I need to take a nap, right? So anyway, I'm still learning to navigate that for myself because I'm the person on the schedule. 10 o'clock, go to bed, get up, 5, 6, start the day. You need to be up during when the sun's up. Even taking a nap is sometimes difficult for me. I'm like, it's daytime. There's things I need to do, right? So I get in that old programming and I'm getting better at it. But Saturday, we had storm come in. And we had been out in the outdoors since about 3 o'clock that afternoon. Up, we're at a pool party. Up, we were playing when it got dark. We were playing some games, yard games. Then we got home at like 1:30 in the morning. We sat up until almost 4 o'clock a.m. And I was tired, so I went to bed and then got up at 4 a.m. got up at 8 a.m. So 4 hours of sleep. I was okay. Then last night, it was in what I'm coming to is I'm thinking like the barometric pressure is starting to affect me because when there's storms coming, I feel energized as well. So maybe I'm soaking in that lightning energy. I don't know, but something, and I've just really been tuning into that this weekend and yesterday, that there is something going on with, I feel like with the barometric pressure.
Yeah.
Because
It's
actually
just,
when I went to bed last night, I wasn't even tired and it was like 10:30.
Well, yeah, and I didn't even get to bed till 11:30. So it's like, hey, I slept for an hour, so I get it. So maybe it is just, it has to do with the energies of things.
And then, well, and then this morning I couldn't hardly get up. I
Oh,
had,
really?
I got up, but then I went back to bed because
Uh-huh.
my eyes were just so heavy. My body was heavy. I was just like, yeah, I can't get up starting my day like this.
Yeah.
So that's why I was asking why you didn't sleep, but yours was more heat related, I guess.
Mine was more, it was more heat related, but it's like but if I think back for the beginning of the day, so Saturday there was a class that I had paid for that I wasn't able to do because I didn't even think about it. I'm all asking if I should do this, asking myself if I should do this class, and I'm getting a yes. So it's like, okay. So I go ahead and sign up for it. I had 3 massages that day, so it's like I wasn't going to be on there, and it was a live thing. So I was like, okay, well, they've got a recording. So I watched the recording yesterday morning, and it talks about releasing a lot of stuff. So this has been an occurrence for me. So it would be like a releasing and asking for that help, because it's like I wasn't walking through it so gracefully, because I don't always. Sometimes it's easier than others. So it's like dealing with that as far as that goes. And it was talking about a lot of things about this unity, and how we need to create a unity within ourselves, because we talk about ourselves in such a way that creates separation. If there's separation from within, then we're always going to see the separation on the outside of us. I mean, that's just how it highlights to let you know, hey, take a look at this. And for me, in a way, I felt like I was being punished. It's like, so what was that all about? So it's like I was working through a lot of stuff, and being punished has been something that's kind of shown up for me a lot lately. I don't know that people ever do things. I don't know what their intent always is. Usually, you just keep writing, but I don't know what their
Don't make that note. Just keep talking.
but I don't know what their intent is, if it's even what I think it is. But it's like I get into that space sometimes, and that's where I feel like, why are you punishing me for this? So, but then again, I would go back to from where I'm sitting right now and having this conversation. Why am I punishing myself? Why do I think I need to be punished? So this is part of it, not just a heat thing. It's part of a purging thing. It's part of a recognizing, because I want to evolve, and for my evolution, which is very high on my list these days, that's my focus, is to kind of move past a lot of the stuff that we get caught up in and lost in. And then we don't have the joy in life. We get lost in a situation or a circumstance or a person, and you think that your happiness comes from that place. Because believe me, I've done that my whole life. So that's a familiar. So this other stuff's all new stuff, but I have to ask for help, which I have been. And now we're having the conversation that I wasn't planning on having.
Here we are, right? Nothing. We don't plan these conversations, my friend. If this is your first recording to listen to, we don't plan our conversations ever. We show up and we just start talking, and it leads into whatever it leads into. So what I like is that you're using the word punishing, because in the past we've used the word suffering. So to me, when you said punishing, immediately suffering came to my head, and it was like an equation of punishment and suffering are like the same. That I need to punish myself, or I need to suffer over the choices and decisions I made. And typically that is based around shame and guilt. Okay, so 100% of the time it's related to shame and guilt.
Which is true.
I did something wrong, or I am wrong. And in that, when we believe we're wrong in something, or we've done something wrong, now we have to suffer or be punished through consequence. But the thing is that the experience happened. We can't change that, but we think we need to carry that for the rest of our life. And that was one of the things I struggled with, was when I was younger, this happened, and yeah, I feel bad about it, but does this mean I have to carry it until I take my last breath? Does this mean I have to be punished or suffer for the rest of my life because this happened, or because I participated in this event and I feel bad about it. And then that same question was wrapped around the anger and the fear and the resentment and the judgments and the criticism. Like, it all was a package of, why do people hang on to all this and then we die? Why are so many people angry clear up to their last breath? Why are so many people so critical and judgmental clear up to their last breath? And I knew in me that didn't feel good, and I didn't want to live on this earth for 80, 90, 100 years in that type of state. So no, we don't have to keep suffering, or we don't have to keep punishing ourselves. But when you are doing emotional work, it may seem that way.
Yeah. And that's what was just coming. I mean, that was coming up, that the circumstances I was finding, that was the feeling that I felt like I was being punished for something. So it was like, well, I didn't do anything wrong. So it was just it was an interesting thing how it showed up. But like you said, when you're doing this type of work, the things that need to show up, that need to come to the surface, that's what shows up. And it's like, what do you do with it from there? And it's like, I don't like the way it feels. I don't. It feels very uncomfortable. It's not happy, because I've been in the other states. I've been in the blissful space and happy and joyful for days. Of course, when you start asking questions, stuff starts coming to the surface. So it's all good. I mean, it's not something I didn't plan on, but it's, you just don't expect it to show up when you're trying to go to sleep at night.
Right.
But it's going to show up when you can look at it.
It shows up when it shows up. Like, that's one thing I have to say we don't have control over. It shows up when the universe says, okay, you're ready for this. Here we go. Please keep your hands and feet in the vehicle at all times to avoid injury, right, because we're going to take you on a ride, but it's going to be for your highest and greatest good of a releasing.
Yes. Let it go. That's what's been coming up for me for a while now. Let it go. You really. And it's like, sometimes we just don't know how. So it asks me, well, how do I let it go? What does that look like? What do I need to learn from this? It goes back to the same basic questions that you ask yourself over and over and over again, so you can get past these things. Like, what am I learning from this? Why is it in my experience? Why is it showing up right now? All this stuff. And well, I know why it's showing up, because I'm asking questions.
Yep.
Because I want the blocks gone.
Yeah.
I want however I'm holding myself back, I want it, I'm done.
And here's the thing. When you're doing emotional work, emotional releasing, energy shift, and you're asking the question, how do I do this, right? We've been talking about this for a while. Ask your universal team for help and guidance, meaning deceased loved ones, ancestors, spirit guides, ascended masters, angels, archangels, the divine, God, universe, however you want it, whatever terms you want to use. When you ask the question, just like Bev said, how do I let this go? The universe gives you the answer of how to do that. But because our human minds get involved and our ego says, no, I don't want to do that. The universe says, here's how you do it. And we, in our human mind, go, I can't do that. So, prime example, we've had conversations about this. Prime example, forgiveness. That is the hardest one for people to do healing around. Hardest. Every class I've taught, and I said, okay, let's do, we're going to talk about forgiveness. You can just feel the energy just go, whoa. Like, oh, no, as you can see people tune out. Their eyes glaze over. They've checked out, because as soon as that word comes up, we're all like, nope, not going to do it. So when the universe says, this is how you do it, that reminds me of that song. This is how you do it, right?
Yeah.
So this is how you do it. Pay attention, because here's the way it works. You get a message once, You're like, ah, okay, well, you know what? I don't want it. That's not for me. I'm not going to do that. You hear it twice, they're coming in strong, because by the third time, they're going to get your attention and you're going to have to do it in a way that is very uncomfortable. So I just want to make that clear. So when you ask for help and guidance of your universal team and the answer shows up, take action the first time. Do it the first time. I've gotten really good at listening the first time, because the second time when it gets my attention, then if I didn't listen the first time, I'm like, second time I'm like, oh no, nope, I'm on it, because I know that third time is going to be like a crack across the forehead or something, like smack, do it. So anyway, just when you get your guidance, your help, your path, whatever, take the action the first time. And it's going to be uncomfortable, no doubt. Emotional work, yeah, we're not saying like this is like sitting there and being joyful and eating ice cream. Emotional work, it means work, and it's uncomfortable, because you got to sit with you and you got to sit in it for a moment in time. But that moment in time is so beneficial, because how many years have you been carrying it? And when you sit with it to look at it differently and heal, then that, for the most part, depending on how deep the pain is, for the most part, it just falls away. And then you'll find that you're not thinking about it anymore. You're not punishing yourself over it anymore. You're not suffering over it anymore.
True.
Which sounds so much better to me. I'd rather sit with it in a moment of whatever it takes, 5 minutes or 5 hours, compared to the 40 years I carried stuff, right? So.
And I'm happy that I'm at a point where I can identify what those emotions are, because I used to not, I would just be defensive. I mean, for no particular reason. That's how I would trudge through life. And that, for me, like last night, for it to show up when I'm going to go to sleep, of course it's going to show up when I'm going to go to sleep, because I can't get up and go clean. I can't get up and, you know what I mean? I can't distract myself and find something else to do so I can ignore it. So it was like in my face. So it started out as the heat, but it wasn't. It was just a way for it to come to the surface. And I remember the first time I did one of your classes, I laughed because when we had to do this forgiveness, it's like, fuck that. Like, seriously, no. Yep. And then it's like, as time has gone by, now I'm like telling people, you just need to forgive yourself and love it and forgive them. And it's like,
do the same thing. Trust me. The first time it was presented to me, I was like,
that's right.
I'm not doing this.
That's right.
So I know I can speak from that.
Yeah, it gets easier because you start recognizing it feels better. Yeah. When you identify that that's what needs to be done, and you just do it, and it feels better, and it's faster. We're not spending months or hundreds of years, it feels like, for being some of these cases. But I had no idea what these emotions were. None. I just had these feelings. I was reactive. I was fight or flight forever. Yep. So coming out of that space and recognizing these emotions that I have, it is like a roller coaster ride. It is. I mean, some days it really is like that roller coaster ride. Keep your hands and your feet in, right? You said you don't have them swinging around outside the vehicle. You're going to lose something on the way down. And then you're going to come back up and wonder, you're going to be finding what smacked you in the head because you didn't listen to it on the way down.
Yeah.
But it's exciting.
At the same time, to release that layer of discomfort that's been harboring in your body for so long, it's a moment that when you feel that release, your body just, like, my shoulders were like this, constant. Now my shoulders are like this majority of the time. Yep. Stressed, constant. Tension, right? It takes work to hold those shoulders up and tense, right? So tension, headaches, and all that. And now my shoulders are down most of the time. That means I'm more in a relaxed state. So now when I am experiencing any kind of tension, I can feel it immediately. And then it's like, whoa, okay, something's going on. Let's sit with this. And sometimes it helps. Well, you write it. You can write it out. My body's feeling tense. These are the things going on in my life. This is what I'm giving my attention to. This is how I'm perceiving things, right? You just look at it in all different directions of writing that out. For me, it was a mastermind group that we did last week, and I had been feeling some tension in my neck and shoulders. And I was thinking about it. I was like, because usually I'm pretty good at identifying what's going on and I can address it pretty quickly. But this was not like coming forward. So in the mastermind group, I talked about it. Well, I was listening to the other people talk, and every one of them that talked, there was a piece of their story that I was listening to going, yep, that's happening. Yep, that's happening. Yep. Okay. And then I was putting my pieces together. So then when it was my turn to talk and I started talking about it, I just feel my whole body just, whoop, okay, you got it. Okay. Now you know. And I'm like, okay. And so I've been good. So sometimes it takes writing. Sometimes it actually takes talking it out. And it could be just you in a room talking it out because you need to hear yourself. Sometimes you need a sounding board. So you want to be actually saying it to somebody, and you know, their facial expressions, I'm telling you, most people can't hide their facial expressions. And when they're making these weird, and then you're listening to yourself, you're like, wow, that does sound kind of off and weird. Why would I say that? Or why would I think that? Or why would I be behaving like that? And so then you can get feedback just by somebody being present. They don't need to give you feedback or give you their opinion unless you ask for it or guidance. If you have a coach or somebody, of course you want their feedback, most likely. But when you say it out loud and hear yourself, like hear what you're thinking about, hear yourself saying the things that you've been saying to yourself internally, right? And then once you actually hear the sound of those words and you're like, whoa, why am I going there with my thoughts? Why am I, allowing that to consume me? So just be aware that the different ways to do that, journaling or talking it out by yourself or with somebody, getting a coach. I know for me, I have 2 friends that I know. If I need to process something and I need feedback, I have 2 people I can go to in my immediate life. But I'm also in mastermind 3 mastermind groups, and I know that I can get guidance there also. And it's knowing that I'm safe in sharing what's going on within myself, where I'm not going to be judged or criticized, right? Because that's super important. If you're going to go to somebody and have a conversation with them about what you're truly feeling inside and these thoughts that you're having, and you feel like these people are going to judge you if you talk to them, those are not your people to go to. Those are not your people to go to. Get into a safe space of people that you know you can share. That was part of my journey, being an introvert, shy, timid, didn't want to be seen, right? It wasn't safe for me to speak my truth or I'd get in trouble. So I had to build it up within myself to be comfortable around somebody before I could share what's on my heart. So I know the mastermind groups I'm in and these 2 particular people in my immediate life that I could go to. So be sure you have that kind of support. Don't do I'm telling you, in the beginning, doing your emotional work, I don't know about Bev, but for me, I was doing it basically solo. I had the books, I listened to the teachers, but I was doing stuff solo, and it takes, I'm telling you, it takes longer. I feel it takes longer to do it that way than if you're in some kind of a community that you're going to receive the encouragement and support.
I agree.
And know that there are other people going through similar things.
Oh yeah. That's like even in your mastermind, it's not, no one, if you're in a mastermind group or you're in a like-minded group or, you know, a supportive group, they're supporting you. They're not judging you. They're not making you feel less than. And it's an opportunity. Like it's an opportunity because everybody's going through so many different things at the same time. And there's so much similarities between all of us. There really is. It may not be with a person or whatever. It could be a job. It could be relationships are the number one thing that shows up, so it can, you know, that kind of push the buttons to let you know these need to be looked at. These emotions need to be looked at. And it's having that support group. It makes a huge difference because I was always doing things all by myself. I thought, you know, now when I talk to people, it's like, you think you can do it all by yourself? Well, yeah, so did I. And it took me forever. And now we can have these quick conversations, and in the middle of a conversation, or like you said, just saying it out loud to yourself. Just saying it out loud to yourself. Sometimes, because that's what I do. Sometimes I'm like, I don't even know what to do. I just don't know what to do. And just with that response, that created an action. You're going to start getting answers. But we just got to be willing to listen to them and then follow through. And so I've been learning to listen, and not following through. So, because that's not always easy, like you said, but I'll tell you what, almost always it's simple. It's just we kind of procrastinate. So we're trying to control the situation, right? That was one of those things I learned from you a long time ago. When you procrastinate, you're just trying to control it. So it's like it's just something that you just have to recognize within yourself, and that's what I was doing. So the only thing I was procrastinating is my own healing. The only thing I was procrastinating is allowing myself to receive. And I'm a lot better about it, but not always. That's a learning journey. You got to remember, I've spent my whole life pushing everybody away. I could do it myself. I don't need nobody's help.
Right.
Yeah. If I had a bullshit card right now, I'd be throwing it on the table because it's not true. That's just some story that we told ourselves, and it worked for the longest time. We thought that we were doing just fine. I mean, I thought I was doing fine, and then you get an illness, or you kind of, something slows you down where you can't do anything, and you're kind of wondering why. Well, I could have been in the victim mode, which I probably was at some point during that. Why is this happening to me? And then learned that why am I doing this? Why do I feel like I need to get attention this way? Or why do I, just asking so many different questions of myself and getting to the bottom of things. But I was still asking, and I was still doing it out loud. And then burning it on a piece of paper. Not burning it on a piece of paper, but writing on a piece of paper and then burning it afterwards to release. And recognizing those things that you put on that paper, you're going to be releasing from you. You probably are going to be emotional. You probably are going to experience some of that anger that day, or in the next couple of days to come. You are going to experience those things you're letting go of. Before, I used to think you write out on a piece of paper, you burn it, it's all good. You still got to process the stuff. And I didn't realize that. It's like, I remember that one of the times that, I finally listened to the advice I was given to others and did that. And I was the freaking emotional boogers down my face, crying, sobbing in the bathroom. What is wrong with me? Oh, well, I put this on a piece of paper. I was letting this stuff go. I didn't want to hold on to it anymore. So like I was even told again, and you've told me before too, be careful what you wish for or what you ask for. Because when you're asking, like I made a comment last night, well, yeah, I'm ready to be stripped down, not the clothing, but stripped down of all the emotions. And he's like, okay, just think about what you're saying right now. And I'm like, okay, with grace and ease. And he says, well, I don't know who those people are, but it was funny. But but it's true though, because it's like we think we want all these things. Like, I just want to rip the Band-Aid off, right?
No.
Because I don't know. There's been some times this year where I was going through such emotions that the desire to want to even be in the physical was a little sketchy a few times. So it's like I don't have that kind of desire to put myself in that space. Besides that, when you're ripping the Band-Aid off, you're not learning what needs to be learned so that you don't keep continuing the cycle. I feel like you get it all stripped off of you and then you're overwhelmed and just crying, which is what happened to me, overly crying. And it's like I would still find there's pieces that need to be resolved, or there's things that still need to be looked at. It has gotten easier, but I do ask for things to happen with grace and ease, or I'm reminded to ask my team to bring that forth with grace and ease. Because that is my desire to move forward. And we talked a long time ago about unlearning to be ourselves. And I feel like we're like computers. So now I'm like just deprogramming. Like, okay, go ahead and recalibrate me right now. It's not, maybe it is that easy and we get in our ways. I don't know. But at this point, because the computer doesn't have attachments to anything, but this girl does. So therein lies some of the problems. If you can become very neutral about everything, you do move through it a lot easier, I've noticed, just in my own experience.
Yeah, and that recalibration is it reminds me of the GPS saying rerouting.
Yes, mine it would be froze.
I wanna say that you mentioned procrastinating in your healing. I'm gonna also equate in that conversation that procrastinating was still a form of punishment.
Oh, you bet. Because it's so miserable. If you stop and think about how that feels, if I would have just handled things right now, oh my God, life would have been so much easier. But that's not how I did things. And that's not a bad thing.
Let's don't. Because we didn't know that.
That's true. It's true. But it's not, I wouldn't say it's a bad thing. It was just a thing that I did. And I still do sometimes. Most definitely. Yeah.
Yep. Most of my clients are older than me. And hanging on to stuff. And it's like, you don't have to do that anymore. Right?
Yeah.
But also what I recognize in my own healing journey is that sometimes we need somebody else to give us permission, because we always look to the authoritative figures, parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, teachers, employers, to get permission, because we didn't know how to give ourselves permission.
It's true.
And so there's things that my teacher would say, my spiritual teacher would say, well, you can change that, right? Hold on, what? Right? It was just like this whole like, what do you mean I can change that? So having somebody else, and maybe you just need that sounding board, that when you're talking to somebody, that to hear them say, well, can you give yourself permission to fill in the blank? Sometimes we need that. That's a little person inside of us that's running the show, and that little person needs permission to do something different. That was huge for me. In fact, mine was around beliefs, because I thought once you had a belief, right, that was it. Done, sealed, it's for life. And that was the thing. She's like, well, you can change your beliefs, right? I was like, no, because I didn't think. I was like, no, this is part of me. This is what I was taught by my grandparents, by my parents. This is what I know. This is what I know to be like, people say this is the gospel. That was the gospel because the adults around me taught this to me. And she's like, is it serving you? Well, no. In fact, I even question it. And she's like, then you can change it. Yeah. So that very first time that I had to have permission, and I didn't know that's what I needed, but she gave me permission to do something different. From that point forward, when I looked at things, I gave myself permission to change whatever it is I was working on. So when it comes to punishment, we are giving you permission to not punish yourself anymore. You don't have, I mean, so every moment is a moment. It's an experience. End of story. Like, period. It was an experience, period. We bring our programming, our own stories, our emotional baggage into the experience, and we put the exclamation point. So now it's a bigger deal. It's bigger, right? It's bigger than us. And then we give attention to it over and over and over and over for weeks, months, years, and years and years. And so it's just went from this period to exclamation point to capital letters, exclamation, right? It just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's all harbored in our body. It's just all stored here. And it dims our light. It weakens our heart space. It creates heaviness in our body, exhaustion, really. It's just exhausting to carry that. So if you've ever well, just go, you know what, fill up a couple suitcases, and you know the limit on an airplane is 50 pounds per suitcase. Put 100 pounds in each one of them and drag those bad boys around with you all day, and see how exhausted you are within the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't know, Bev, you might last maybe 30. I guess.
I would be stuck somewhere, because it feels like being stuck.
Yeah.
It feels like you've just got the whole weight of the world on your shoulders. It really does.
And what if you just released the handles of the suitcases and walked?
Yeah. And if you
it
don't know
is-
how, ask, right?
It can be that
go?
simple. It can be that simple.
It
It
can.
can be that easy. It really can.
Depends on each individual. Yeah.
It's our headspace.
Yeah. If you spend a lot of time there.
Because we've blown up these stories so big, capital letters, exclamation point, that we have to reverse the process, bring it down to, it was an experience, period. It was just an experience. You learn, you grow, you implement. Now it's wisdom. Now you'll do better.
It's true. I like that. Just saying it was just an experience. That makes it, that just like, fizzles it down to
like the balloon, right?
Yep. Just, it's manageable now. Yeah. All over the room. I like that visual. I do. That's a good one.
So that story that you have, put it in a great big, maybe a hot air balloon. It's that big. This story is that big. And then deflate it down into just a regular size or little balloon, and then let that bad boy go and like, that's just funny to watch a balloon do that, right? It's just, it makes me laugh. So that's where we want to get to, is the joy.
It's true. But I have to keep asking questions, because I'm not satisfied just being in that space, because I want to go beyond that space. No, it's not it's not a bad thing. It really isn't. It's just learning. Gosh, you just have to learn new tools of how to look at things and asking. I mean, for me, like we've talked about this before, it's like initially just even asking a question, just even asking for help, just even inside my head was a task. And now I'm like asking so many freaking questions. But like you said, you know, those are all going to get answered. And be careful what you're throwing into it. It's like putting it in. You're putting it all on the computer to send off to fax off, and it's all in the queue, and all of a sudden everything starts going through at one time. That's how it feels.
Great. You know, when the printer spits out the paper, there's no catching component. It's just like,
yeah. Exactly.
Be careful with that.
Yeah. But that's the way I've always spent my life, I think, because it's like I've just always full bore ahead. And then what happens is you notice that, like I've noticed this, because I've been off Sunday and Monday, and I'll be off today too. But I started noticing that it's like I don't have tolerance. Like I have no space. I have no more space. After listening to the thing, yesterday, it was great, but then it's like I had no space to go do anything else. I didn't have any desire to be on Facebook or, to find posts or do any of that stuff. You just you don't have the energy for any of it because you're already going through so much. And it's funny, I laugh at it now, and usually with stuff like this, because I recognize I'm the one that did this to myself, because I want so much at one time. I want to bounce into the next era, where we talk about before, like one of us grabs a hold of the hand and slingshots the other one forward. Well, I'm trying to do that with myself all the time. And it's like, man, it gets you a little bit tired.
What's the importance of doing that? Being a slingshot forward. What is that
I
about?
think just trying to get past the stuff, because it's like I feel like I've spent so much time in it in my whole life. And I know how to push forward through things. Well, then that's why you get the foot pain, or you get the headache, or you start noticing your body is a gauge, right? So you start noticing, I tell clients all the time, you have to put your shoulders down. You get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, and you have to like really notice and put your shoulders down. Yeah. Well, you're spending way too much time in your head.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's what it boils down to. But I was always like just forging through. I was always pushing through to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. And I know that we're never going to get it done, ever, because it's always going to be an evolution.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff to be unlearned.
So,
but you start to feel how it feels good. So you try to hurry up and get past all that stuff so you can stay in that feel good space more often.
So that's what I was just going to get at, was instead of focusing on, because I feel I had felt the same way as you did. It's like I've been doing this healing stuff for like 20 years. I'm over it. Like I'm done sitting in this. I've had enough. I get it. So practicing being content, practice being a little better than you were a moment before. Practice being in that joy. Sometimes we can't go from contentment to joy like that. Sometimes we have to do it in stages. Sometimes we are in that. We wake up and we're just in that joyful state. So what I've recognized is that I want to be either content or higher vibration. So practicing that is start asking questions of how can I be in a higher vibration? How can I be in a higher vibration, right? And practicing that more often. When something pops up that may trigger you, it's not going to feel as heavy. It's just going to be like, oh, this showed up. This is how I'm showing up. How can I be in a more joyful state? Because you're still asking for the help and guidance.
Yeah. And I like that. How can I be in a higher vibration? Because that's, for me, I use that kind of terminology all the time, because for me, it's all about how we vibrate.
And that's what Abraham,
simple,
that's what Abraham teaches, right? Esther Hicks is her teachings, or Abraham's teachings, is we don't have to look at the past.
Yeah.
We just need to practice being in a joyful state right now. And not a joyful, but higher vibrational state right now. Right now, right now, right now. And so giving our attention to that more and more and more. How can I be in a higher vibrational state right now? And that's asking the question, and the universe says, oh, they want to be in a higher vibrational state. Where, well, here's something to, help her laugh. It could be like a cute little video or something, or here's a funny movie, or here's somebody might text you and say, hey, you want to go to lunch? And every time you get together with this person, you laugh and just have a great time, right? So the universe, you're putting that request out. How can I be at a higher vibrational state? And that becomes your mantra. And what you put your attention on grows. So the more I give my attention to this, the more I'm going to get, and the more I'm going to get, and the more I'm going to get. So I needed to say this out loud because I needed to hear it.
Yep. No, and it's a good reminder, because that's what I would practice. That's how I would practice before. because you move past, I don't know if you move past it, but you move through things so much easier. But I don't know. I don't know if it's because, so where do we get lost? I don't know if it's from a teacher that I listened to, someone, maybe it could have been, more focused on these things. Because for me, to me, it's just about being in a higher vibration. It's about focus on more of a positive. It doesn't mean that I don't get lost, because apparently I have gotten lost for a little bit recently too.
Oh, I got a total irritability state. Total irritate. Everything fucking irritated me. I'm not kidding you. For like the past week, I'm just like, I'm ready to strangle somebody.
I'm glad. I'm not glad that you were, but it makes me feel better. It makes me feel better because I have been kind of going through some of the stuff too, but it's like, it's really right. That's what I've always told people that, it's just being in that focus of being in a higher vibration. And that's such a simple question. That's going to be on my board across from me. So then we have these conversations, or when I'm sitting at my desk, I'm seeing that over and over and over again. I'm going to put it on my phone. How can I be in a higher vibration? Because it's not always looking at, because what happens when we look at it, sometimes we get lost in the muck of it.
Right.
We get lost in that vibration of it instead of moving above and beyond it. And it doesn't serve us. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of stuff I feel like has served, but it's like we could just be there so much quicker. It could be so much easier. And that goes back to the mind complicating things again. Because we do have a tendency, I would say people in general have a tendency to overcomplicate things when it's really that much, it's so simple. But maybe it is perusing Facebook that you're seeing stuff, because there is stuff that's out there and it's like, well, I can't disagree with what the perspective they're putting out there. I can't disagree with it, but it's like, do I want that in my existence? Do I want to give energy to that?
Right.
And I know that. I even put freaking posts out like that, for God's sakes. What are you advertising? What are you putting your energy into? It's so simple.
Well, just last night, I've recognized I've been irritable lately, and we've been going out and sitting in our pool almost every night. We're in the pool. And my husband got home, did some stuff. He's like, I'm getting in the pool because I'm hot. I'm like, great. Mother-in-law, she eats dinner. She goes and gets in the pool. In between all those conversations, I'm spinning. I'm like, I just need a moment to myself. So are you going to come get in the pool? I'm like, nope. She goes, why not? This is my mother-in-law asked me. I said, I'm being pissy right now. I'm not coming out into the pool. I was just like, I needed some breathing room. I need to reassess my energy. So I just putzed around a little, it was just for a few minutes, putzed around, got some, breathed a little bit. And then I went out and I sat with them. I didn't get in the pool, but I went out and sat with them because I was out in the air, and it felt really nice last night. And then the rest of the evening was good, right? It was just an energy check. I recognized the state I was in. I just needed a moment. I just flat out told her, I said no, because I'm being pissy. I owned it because I knew I was in that state. So taking responsibility for me. It wasn't pointing the finger, you're doing this, so I'm irritated. I was just like, no, I'm being pissy. I'm not coming out there right now. I didn't even say it right now. I said, no, I'm not coming out. Okay, what's your question?
What does water represent to you?
Oh, water is everything to me.
So, but is it's like in cards, but is it cards, or if you're going to do tarot or any of that stuff, is it emotion?
Oh, absolutely. Emotion.
So do you think that by going into that water and having that being pissy, do you think that was going to help it, or you think it was going to enhance it, or would it have given you an opportunity to talk about it? Of course, I'm just asking, and like in general, because it's for me, I've recognized someone else that's been in my life, and her and her daughter would go in, and conversations would start flowing. They were like emotional conversations, so that's when stuff would start happening. But it was like a releasing of emotions. Of course, like you're at a place where you wouldn't want to dump that all over everybody, because it was just your emotion.
And it could be, and I really hadn't thought about it until you just said it, that I didn't want to bring that energy into that space where we've been enjoying every night. So they sat in the water and I sat outside of the water, but I was still in the presence of it.
Gotcha.
So it could be me just not wanting to bring the energy, not even giving attention, like, oh, I can't go get in the pool because I don't want to bring my energy into it. Had nothing to do with that. It was just I knew I could not take myself and my energy and be in that space. I could be outside of that space, but not in it. And it worked out great.
That's awesome.
And actually the conversation started flowing just with the dynamics of them in the water and me outside of it. So we laughed, we had ease.
Nice.
Talked about stuff. What?
I said a nice flow.
Nice flow. That's right. That's correct. So sometimes, and it was, I would actually equate it, now that I think about it, I would equate it to an intuitive guidance that I needed a moment to myself, away from them. I just needed a moment to breathe. And it's not that I wasn't breathing when they were it was just, when you take people, right? When something's not going the way you want it to go, and you just get up and walk away from it and take a breath. So it's creating some space, moving into a different space to just kind of reassess. It was an intuitive guidance. This is how you're being. You take a breath. And when I said, no, I'm not coming out, I didn't think I was going to go out at all. I was just going to stay in the house, be by myself, do my thing, right? And then something in me said, go sit outside. So I was an intuitive guidance that, like you said, I was probably internally asking to clear this, to help me with this, help me move through it. And then go outside. Just go outside and sit with them. I was like, kind of eye roll, like a teenage eye roll, like, I don't want to.
But you might have a good time.
Right? It says go sit outside. So I've really been listening to those subtle messages more and more and more.
Nice.
And it's been pretty amazing. And so I did. I went and sat, and it was good.
That's awesome.
So
I like it.
yeah. So ask the question, how can I be more in a higher vibrational state? Be in a higher vibrational state more, right? So higher vibrations, joy, fun, love, laughter, excitement, adventure, curiosity. You think any more words?
No, because I'm just thinking about just
Adventure.
honoring yourself, because to me, you're just honoring yourself. You're listening. We can be intuitive and we can have all these natural abilities and all these skills, but when we take the time to listen to ourselves, sometimes we don't have any more to give right that second. And whatever amount of time it took you separated yourself, and it has nothing to do with the other people necessarily. It just means that you're in a space that you can't be that big space or that big energy, that higher energy frequency at that time. So you honored it by stepping aside. And there's nothing wrong with that. To me, that's an awesome thing. That's so huge. People may not think that that's such a big deal, but it's so big. That's like knowing boundaries. It's knowing it's recognizing how you feel and knowing that you just need a couple of minutes. It might be to take breaths. What did you do in your couple of minutes?
What did I do? I was just putzing around. Put my dinner plate away, put in the dishwasher, just kind of just nothing really, to be honest. Got the mail.
Yeah. No thinking, but you didn't sit and think about it.
I wasn't thinking about anything. No.
No, you're just moving through, and to me, that's a huge thing too, because you're just allowing things to move through. You're not having to over process it. And that's probably kind of where I've been late, in the last 48 hours or whatever amount of time that's been going on, just trying to be too much in it when it just needed to be just don't do anything. We don't have to be doing something all the time. And just the subtle movements to me doesn't mean that you're doing something. You didn't you didn't go in and freaking sand down your vehicle or something to repaint it and keep yourself busy. You just slowly move through things and
no, it wasn't it wasn't a busyness distraction. It was just whatever.
Just being with yourself.
The mail hadn't been gotten that day, so I went and got the mail and just looked through it, but it was nothing. Just needed a few moments to just calm myself. I recognized my state, and now I needed a moment to just tone it down. I was just breathing. Nice. It wasn't a flee type of energy. Oh, I got to get mail and I got to do this. I got to do that. Blah. I was just like, okay, well, nobody got the mail today, so I'll go get the mail. And I just slowly walked out there. It's across the street, so it's in my little world and recognizing my body. So any tension I did have, just letting that be released and. Yeah. And then went that. So.
Yeah. All the little things. That's the stuff that adds up to the big stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And it's when you're in the middle of something, and that, especially if you don't understand, it's like, why am I experiencing this? We want to analyze it, sit in it and analyze it or be the victim of it and sit in it. That sucks. But right. So just recognizing you don't have to stay in it. You get, that's when you have the blinders on. So when you take a breath and step away from it, if you can step out of it for a moment, that might mean go to the bathroom. That might mean go get a drink of water. That might mean walk around the block, go for a run, go to the gym. It might mean some kind of, it is action, some kind of action to take you away from the situation for a moment. Because then we can take a deep breath. When we have more air flow and more oxygen in our body, then we can think a little clearer. So if you think about yourself in the situation, it's just this heavy or dark cloud and you can't see clearly, you can't think clearly, you're just scatterbrained. But when you step out of it and take a breath and we get that oxygen flowing, we have oxygen in our body, then we can relax the body more. Then we can receive our intuitive guidance, the help that we're asking for. We're more receptive to receive it. More so than if we're sitting in it, in the situation. So that's probably what my process was. And it's not been a conscious thing. It's just been an intuitive guidance thing. So.
Which is listen, do, listen, do, listen, do. It's nothing more than that. And so that helps bring you to present, it helps bring you into the now.
Yes.
So I was just curious how you walk through sometimes some of these things.
It
is just listening. It is.
Or go to bed. Go back to bed.
Yes, I probably will be taking a nap shortly.
You do that. And it's okay. Give yourself permission. It's okay to take a nap in the middle of the day.
Oh God. When you say it like that, it's like, oh, forget it. I'll just stay awake.
No, do it. Have a nap. Lay down. Close your eyes. Sit back in a chair. Close your eyes. Whatever. Just be. It's okay.
I'll meditate all day.
There you go. Meditate all day. Eat ice cream. I wouldn't eat ice cream all day. That would suck.
Yeah.
All right, my friends, we brought forth quite a bit of information today. So we hope you enjoyed it. We hope that you can take something, implement it, use it, share it. Maybe you know somebody who's struggling in their life journey, and our videos or information can help them. We just ask that you pass along. Don't keep us a secret. And we'd love to hear your thoughts. So you can share questions or comments in the comment box and we will respond. You can email us, that's my email. amieandbev@gmail.com. amieandbev@gmail.com. We're also on Facebook. It's Amie and Bev. That's our page. And then Amie and Bev Community is our group.
Very awesome. So have a fabulous week.
Make it amazing. See you guys.
Bye.